A very good morning. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines of the day. President says Prime Minister acted in close cooperation with him at book release at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Prime Minister says Pranab Mukherjee guided him like father figure. India pushes in more troops in non-combative mode in the area near Sikkim. Latest standoff, longest impasse between India and Chinese armies since 1962. "14 people killed as suicide bomber attacks camp for displaced Iraqis in Anbar province. Most victims were women and children. India crushed Pakistan by 95 runs in ICC Women's World Cup in England. Left arm spinner Ekta Bisht puts up stellar show, taking 5 wickets for 18 runs. And the Wimbledon Championship begins today. Murray, Federer, Djokovic, Nadal among men's title contenders. Angelique Kerber favourite in women's section. NDA's presidential nominee Ram Nath Kovind and his rival Meera Kumar would visit Hyderabad this week to drum up support for their candidature from the legislators in Telangana for the 17th July polls. While Kumar will visit Hyderabad today, Kovind's visit is scheduled for Tuesday. During her day-long visit, Kumar would meet Congress leaders at Gandhi Bhavan, Telangana Congress headquarters, followed by a media conference. The former Lok Sabha Speaker will interact with MPs, MLAs and MLCs, left party leaders, senior journalists and intellectuals. After their nomination last month, Kumar and Kovind have been visiting various states as part of their campaign for the top constitutional post. Kovind, on the other hand, would visit Hyderabad on July 4th. During the day-long visit, he is expected to meet MPs and MLAs of the ruling TRS, opposition BJP and Telangana TDP. While the TDP is the constituent of the NDA, the TRS has announced its support for Kovind's candidature. Prime Minister Narendra Modi voiced his deep admiration for the outgoing President Pranab Mukherjee, saying he acted like a father figure. Releasing a book, President Pranab Mukherjee, a statesman, at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the Prime Minister said that he was fortunate that he could hold Mukherjee's hand while trying to settle in Delhi. Speaking on the occasion, the President too expressed deep gratitude and appreciation for the Prime Minister. He said, though there have been divergent views on various issues, they have been able to keep them to themselves.
And I take this opportunity to express my deep gratitude and appreciation to Prime Minister. Normally, I am not making any comment right now. Little more than 3 years, we have acted in close cooperation. It is not that there cannot be any divergence of view. Surely there have been divergences of views, but we have been able to keep that divergences, if there be any, only to ourselves. It did never find any place anywhere, and it did not affect the relationship between the President and the Prime Minister, between the titular head and the actual head of the administration.
और मैं मानता हूं कि मेरे जीवन का एक बहुत बड़ा सद्भाग्य रहा कि मुझे प्रणव दा की उंगली पकड़ करके दिल्ली की जिंदगी में अपने आप को सेट करने में बहुत बड़ी सुविधा मिली। बहुत बड़ा मेरे लिए एक बहुत बड़ा संबल रहा।
On some more developments, Pakistan on Sunday once again rejected India's demand for consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav, who is facing death penalty on alleged espionage charges. Pakistan's Foreign Office said that it would be a travesty of logic to link Jadhav's case with Indian civilian prisoners languishing in Pakistani jails. Pakistan also claimed that Jadhav was serving Indian Navy officer who was sent to Pakistan by its intelligence agency RAW for espionage, terrorism and subversive activities, which resulted in loss of many innocent lives and damage of property. Pakistan has dismissed India's consular access request to Jadhav more than 15 times. The latest denial for consular access came a day after both the countries exchanged a list of prisoners lodged in each other's jails as per the provisions of the bilateral agreement of 2008. India has accused Pakistan of repeatedly violating the Vienna Convention by not allowing him consular access. India has moved the International Court of Justice against Jadhav's death penalty, where the court restrained Pakistan from executing the death sentence. India has pushed in more troops in the non-combative mode to strengthening the position in Dokala near Sikkim, where its soldiers have been locked in a standoff with the Chinese troops for almost a month now. The latest standoff has been the longest such impasse between the two armies since 1962. According to sources, India brought in more troops after the destruction of two of its bunkers and aggressive tactics adopted by the Chinese People's Liberation Army. The PLA on June 1st had asked the Indian Army to remove the two bunkers set up in 2012 in Dokala, which falls in the vicinity of India-Bhutan-Tibet Tri-Junction. But on June 6, both the Chinese bulldozers destroyed the bunkers, claiming that the area belonged to China. As a fallout of the standoff, China refused to allow the pilgrims to Kailash Mansarovar via Nathula Pass, describing the move as an indication of increased tempers in Beijing. China, meanwhile, has also increased diplomatic pressure on India and lodged a protest over the alleged crossing of boundary by the Indian troops in the Sikkim section. Meanwhile, the situation in Darjeeling Hills remained tense but incident-free on the Sunday, where the indefinite shutdown has been on. Internet services stayed suspended for the 15th day as the security forces kept a tight vigil on each and every exit and entry route of the hills. The day also saw the GJM activists taking out rallies in various parts of the hills in support of their demand for a separate Gorkhaland state out of West Bengal. Local TMC leaders under the leadership of J.B. Tamang, meanwhile, joined the GJM and extended their support to the Gorkhaland demand.
We do not believe in violence, either that be in Siliguri or either that be in Darjeeling. And all those miscreants who are doing it in the name of the political parties here the police administration should take proper action.
Scorching rumour that Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar will not attend RJD's proposed rally in Patna next month. The JDU has said that its national president would attend the rally if he got an invitation. A section of media had reported that the JDU would not participate in the RJD's BJP Hatao Desh Bachao rally, which has been scheduled for August 27th in Patna. The JDU and the RJD, along with the Congress, are the partners in the ruling Grand Alliance in the state. The differences between the two major partners of the alliance surfaced after the JDU unilaterally announced its support to former BJP Governor Ram Nath Kovind's candidature. Ram Nath Kovind is the NDA's presidential nominee and
महागठबंधन के हम हिस्सा हैं। आरजेडी रैली कर रहा है, अगर हमें बुलाएगा तो हम जरूर जाएंगे क्योंकि हम महागठबंधन के हिस्सा हैं।
तो कांग्रेस पार्टी उसमें डिसाइड करेगी कि हमको उसमें किस रूप में भाग लेना है। मैं समझता हूं कि जितने भी सेकुलर विचारधारा की पार्टियां हैं उन्हें आपस में एक आपसी समझ बनाकर काम करने की आवश्यकता है भारतीय जनता पार्टी के खिलाफ।
रोज ये झगड़ते हैं। मुझे तो बड़ा आश्चर्य होता है कि नीतीश कुमार जैसे लोग कैसे आरजेडी जैसी पार्टी के साथ गठबंधन करके सरकार चला रहे हैं। ये बड़े आश्चर्य की बात बड़ी बड़ी करते हैं नीतीश जी, ऊंची ऊंची बात करते हैं, लेकिन भ्रष्टाचार में आकंठ डूबी हुई पार्टी के साथ गठबंधन करके सरकार चला रहे हैं। नीतीश जी सत्ता का मोह छोड़िए।
And with that, we'll slip into a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Rai and you're watching Constitutionally Yours.
National Commission for Scheduled Tribe, it granted injunction order. There should be a separation of the Scheduled Tribe Commission.
National Commission for Scheduled Tribe has to be more active.
How the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes deals with the cases of atrocity.
National Commission itself does not have the implementation power.
Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. Union Minister Jitendra Singh has expressed hope that GST will be implemented in Jammu and Kashmir in the next 3 to 4 days. Playing down reports of differences between BJP and the PDP, he said hiccups are being raised by the opposition for the political considerations. The BJP has asked all its party legislators to be present for the 4-day special assembly session of the State Assembly starting from July 4th. The opposition National Conference has, however, warned of severe consequences if the state implemented the goods and services tax in the present form. The party said it will not accept the new tax regime till adequate safeguards were put in place.
जीएसटी को लेकर के मुझे लगता है कि जो हमारा मत है वो आपके सामने है और इसमें कोई मतभेद नहीं है। दोनों गठबंधन दलों में पूरी सहमति है और जल्द ही इसका भी कुछ ना कुछ रास्ता निकल आएगा और जीएसटी लागू हो जाएगा। मुझे लगता है कि सभी राजनीतिक दल अब इस बात को समझने लगे हैं कि जीएसटी का होना प्रदेश के हित में है।
हम इन मामलात में सब कुछ स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड होना चाहिए, मिसलीड करने की कोशिश आवाम को नहीं करनी चाहिए। 13 जून की ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग के बाद हालांकि वहां पे नोकझोंक भी हुई, वहां पे कोई किसी नतीजे पर हम नहीं पहुंचे मासिवाय इसके कि हम फिर मिलेंगे और डॉक्यूमेंट साहब को भेजेंगे, इतना हुआ। तो फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर साहब ने प्रेस को बताया था ब्रॉड एग्रीमेंट हो गया जी, दिस वाज नॉट अ फैक्ट। अभी जो मीटिंग हुई 29 को हमने क्लियर किया इस मीटिंग में कि जहां तक नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस के स्टैंड का ताल्लुक है ये कंसिस्टेंट रहा है। चाहे मैं एम्पावर्ड कमेटी का मेंबर था, चाहे मैं एम्पावर्ड कमेटी का चेयरमैन था, उस दौरान हमने जो बात की है जीएसटी के बारे में आज भी वो बात हम कर रहे हैं और इंशाल्लाह कल भी बात हमारी वही होगी। कोई इनकंसिस्टेंसी नहीं है हमारे स्टेट में।
On to the latest weather news. The heavens opened up in Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh, triggering flash floods and landslides, while 4 rain-related deaths were reported from Rajasthan. Rains poured down in torrents in parts of Himachal Pradesh as well. The state has been hit by a series of landslides over the past few days. 3 teenagers were swept away by strong water current in a rivulet following showers in Rajasthan's Savai Madhopur district. A 59-year-old man also lost his life in a similar manner in Jodhpur. A downpour in South Rajasthan affected the movement of Mehsana Palanpur route. Abu Road, Mehsana, Ahmedabad, Ajmer passenger trains were cancelled. Torrential rains over the last 2 days have led to flash floods in many parts of Manipur, including the Imphal Valley. Over 300 families have been hit and many have fled their homes to take refuge in the relief camps. A portion of the Imphal riverbank collapsed in Bashikong in Imphal East District, creating panic among people. A swollen Nambul River flooded farmlands and many low-lying areas in Imphal. In Arunachal Pradesh, incessant heavy rains over the past 2 days have triggered landslides, damaged houses, water pipelines, roads and hit basic essential services. The capital town of Itanagar has been cut off from the rest of the country due to landslides in NH 52A. The rainwater has eroded a portion of NH 415 connecting Itanagar and Naharlong, forcing the administration to divert traffic. And a look at all the other national developments nationwide. A Delhi court has issued a non-bailable warrant against Kashmiri separatist leader Shabir Shah in an over a decade-old case of money laundering registered against him for allegedly financing the terror funding. An arrest warrant has issued in the name of Shah after he failed to appear for questioning despite repeated summons. Train passengers will soon have option of travelling in a new class of economy AC coaches with fares less than normal 3 AC tariff. The proposed fully AC train will have 3-tier economy AC coaches besides 3rd AC, 2nd AC and 1st AC classes as part of the transformation exercise. An added feature would be an automatic doors. One militant has been killed in Pulwama during cordon and search operation. The operation was launched after information on the presence of militants in the Malangpura area. Army, police and CRPF are engaged in the operation. Now to the international front, the US State Department has issued the necessary license for the export of 22 Predator Guardian drones to India. PTI is quoting a government source in Washington as confirming the news. This comes days after Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump had first bilateral meeting at the White House. A DSP-5 category license is issued for permanent export of military hardware as found in the US munitions list, which is defined by the International Traffic Arms Regulation. The Guardian drones will enhance India's maritime surveillance capabilities in Indian Ocean region, and their sale was announced by Trump on June 26 after he met Modi for their first face-to-face meeting. The drones are estimated to cost around $2 billion. At least 14 people were killed on Sunday when a suicide bomber blew himself up at a camp for displaced Iraqis in the country's Anbar province. Most of the victims were women and children, but 2 security personnel, including a captain, were among the dead. The blast at the camp in the 60-kilo area west of the Anbar capital Ramadi also wounded 13 people. All the displaced people in the camp will be brought to the 18-kilo camp west of Ramadi. Saudi Arabia and its allies have decided to extend by 48 hours the deadline for the Qatar to accept their list of demands to lift the de facto blockade. With the deadline expiring at midnight yesterday, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Egypt agreed to give Doha an extension to respond positively to their demands. The move came after a request by the Kuwaiti Emir, who is acting as a mediator in the Gulf crisis. The Kuwaiti government has requested the extension following Qatar's announcement that it was due to hand over its response to the Emir, Sheikh Shahba Al Ahmad Al Shahba, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Egypt announced on June 5th they were severing ties with the Gulf neighbor, sparking the worst diplomatic crisis to hit the region in decades. They accused Doha of supporting extremism and of being too close to the regional arch-rival Iran, which Qatar has strongly denied. And let's take a look at all the latest developments from across the world in World Wrap. An American warship sailed close to a disputed island in the South China Sea occupied by Beijing, a provocative move that could further strain relations between the superpowers. The USS Tatham destroyer passed less than 22 kilometers from the Triton Island in Paracel Islands, which is also claimed by Taiwan and Vietnam. It was the second operation of its kind carried out by the United States since Trump took office. Rescue work has been underway as heavy rain has triggered floods in parts of east, central and southern China, and it continues to batter these areas. Many roads were blocked and houses destroyed, while a landslide destroyed a road in Shishui. No casualties have been reported so far. Local authorities say that more than 270,000 people have been affected by the disaster by Sunday. Some 23,400 people have been evacuated. German police cleared a protest camp in Hamburg on Sunday as anti-globalization activists tried to stay overnight in a park ahead of the next week's G20 summit in the city. Tents were taken down and some protesters were arrested. German authorities are bracing for trouble, worried the protests that could turn violent as they did outside a G8 summit in Genoa, Italy in 2001, when one person was shot dead and hundreds injured. On to the sports. India crushed Pakistan by 95 runs in the ICC Women's World Cup in Derby in England. Left-arm spinner Ekta Bisht came to the fore with a stellar show in the low-scoring encounter. India recorded their third successive victory in the tournament with this swing. After a couple of impressive outings by the batswomen, it was the turn of Bisht and company to defend a meager total of 169, skittling the opposition out for a lowly 74 in 38.1 overs. India now have 6 points from 3 games and are at the top of the table. It was a sweet revenge for the Indian Eves as they beat at home when the two teams met in the ICC World T20 in Delhi last year. What looked like a subpar score turned out to be a challenging one for Pakistani batters, who have never successfully chased more than 134 in 50-over World Cup games. Earlier, Indian batters had a disappointing day as they could only manage a paltry 169 for 9 after electing to bat.
बैटिंग में अच्छा टारगेट दिया था, फाइटिंग टाइगर था, जैसे सुश ने लास्ट में अच्छी बैटिंग करी, तो हम लोगों का यही था कि अभी डॉट बॉल्स खिलाना है, उनको प्रेशर में लाना है ताकि हम लोगों को वो लोग विकेट जल्दी, और विकेट जैसे कि मैं विकेट लेने के लिए आए थे तो उसमें मुझे विकेट मिले. थैंक यू.
And in men's cricket, West Indies kept the 5-match series alive after beating India by 11 runs in a low-scoring game in 4th ODI. Choosing to bat first on a tough batting wicket, the hosts were restricted to 189 for 9 in their 50 overs as West Indian top order failed to convert a good start. Umesh Yadav and Hardik Pandya picked up 3 wickets each, while spinner Kuldeep Yadav finished with 2 wickets. In reply, India lost early wickets, losing Dhawan, Kohli and Karthik in quick successions. But Ajinkya Rahane held his ground, scoring his 4th consecutive half-century. Rahane and MS Dhoni combined for a 54-run, 4-wicket partnership. But after Rahane departed, the host slowed down in the chase. India needed 31 runs off last 5 overs, with both Dhoni and Hardik Pandya at the crease. But the visitors were all out for 178 for 49.4 overs. West Indian captain Grayson Holder picked up 5 wickets for 27 runs. Despite the loss, Indians are leading with 5 in the 5-match series with 2-1. The 5th and final ODI will be played in Kingston on Thursday.
I think our short selection wasn't up to the mark. Even losing crucial wickets at crucial stages in the game. Low scoring totals can be tricky to chase down, so you got to keep up the momentum through the game. And credit to the West Indies bowlers, they bowled in the right areas, created those dot balls, and put pressure on our batsmen to make those mistakes.
Series, we've always spoken about taking new ball wickets. India's top order has been doing really well for them in the recent past. And it was all about, removing Shikhar Dhawan and Ajinkya Rahane, getting Virat as quickly as possible, getting to their mid order, who has had less work to do in the recent past in terms of, putting totals up on the board for them. So we were able to get a few wickets up front. I thought Azhar Jones was standing up front with a new ball, and myself, really supported him quite well. I also want to make special mention to Keshav Williams. In his second game, he showed a lot of maturity. He came in, and showed a lot of heart as well. So I'm really, really proud of him.
In tennis, the third Grand Slam of the year, Wimbledon, will start from today. Men's defending champion and world #1 Andy Murray has confirmed his fitness for this year's tournament after a hip injury disrupted his preparation. He will open his defense against Alexander Bublik of Kazakhstan. Alongside Murray, the other title contenders are 18 times Grand Slam champion Roger Federer, world #2 Novak Djokovic and French Open winner Rafael Nadal. In women's section, however, will miss the defending champion Serena Williams, who has skipped the tournament as she is pregnant. World #1, Germany's Angelique Kerber, is the title favourite besides Britain's Joanna Konta. 2 times winner Petra Kvitova will also look to challenge for the title after recovering from an attack which threatened her life and left her with an injured left hand. And that's all we have for you in this edition of Breakfast News. Keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.